It is widely known that flooding is now responsible for many deaths every year and causes significant economic damage. If your house is subject to flooding, it is recommended to floodproof your house in preparation of future floods in order to protect your property, yourself, and your family. In case you are unsure about flood hazards at your property, take note that different types of floods exist. The first flood type is a river flood. A river flood occurs when extensive rainfall or even snowmelt lead to water discharges in streams or rivers which increase many times above the average. In consequence, the water level rises and eventually leaves their normal channel and overflowing the floodplains. If your house is located in such floodplain and additionally is not protected against the high water levels, your house is in great danger of experiencing significant damages. The second flood type is stormwater. Stormwater runoff and in extreme cases flash floods happen when very heavy rainfall accumulates over the ground surface, leading to local flooding. In contrast to a river flood, this type of flood can occur anywhere and affect even those located in safe distances from a water body. Flood risks are anywhere where water accumulates or discharges over the ground surface. The topography and terrain features, either natural or man-made, determine the flow path of the water. Houses located in such flow path are under risk of flooding, regardless of whether it is located on a steep or gentle slope, local depression, or built-up area in flat terrain. Due to climate change and urbanization, this weather-related phenomena will likely occur more frequently in the future. The third flood type is groundwater flooding. What many people may not know, water can seep into your property from the underground due to a rising groundwater table. This type of flooding occurs when the natural drainage system of the underground cannot drain excess water from rainfall quick enough, leading to a rising water table. Although this happens more slowly, it can lead to permanent and extensive damages due to the duration the house structure and materials will be exposed to the water until groundwater levels will go back to normal. This type of flooding might occur when your house is located in a local depression or at a slope. Further than that, groundwater flooding can also be associated with river flood, particularly in proximity of large rivers. If you don't know about these flood hazards at your place of residence, or even if you are moving to a new location, make sure you get well informed about past floods and known damages by local authorities, the community, or your neighbors. The final flood type is sewer backflow. Every public sewer system has a limited capacity to hold water. During heavy rainfall, those capacities can be exceeded and lead to flooding of your home. During a sewer backflow, the sewage water level can rise beyond the ground level. In such case, sewage water can either spill over the street into your home or enter your house directly through pipes connected to your house. Commonly, sewage water spills out of toilets, sinks, or floor drains in the basement, which not only leads to damages but also creates severe health hazards. All this is not uncommon. If your house is subject to flooding and water might enter your house, it is recommended to floodproof your house in order to reduce potential damages. In this regard, floodproofing means to remodel or rebuild your house by using materials and methods that will prevent or minimize damages from future floods. In general, there are three common strategies for floodproofing. The first strategy is avoid. To avoid the hazard is the best way to reduce damages from flooding. For this strategy, the house must be built outside the flood zone. The second strategy is resist. The strategy of resistance is aimed at preventing water from entering the house and allowing it to withstand a flood without damages to the house. The third strategy is adapt. The strategy of adaptation is used when the flood hazard can neither be avoided nor resisted. For this strategy, the house is adapted in such a way that the intrusion of water into the house will only cause minimal damage. In the following, we will have a closer look at each strategy and give a general guideline into suitable flood protection measures for each strategy. The most effective way to reduce the damage from flooding is to avoid the flood hazard. The first option to reduce the risk is by structurally elevating the house or high-value parts of the house above the flood level. This is possible if the foundation is made of columns, piers, pilings, the raised foundation walls, or other means of an elevated arrangement of the building. Furthermore, houses can be located on turbs or mounds. Another option is the relocation or construction of a new house outside of flood-prone areas. Due to the structural complexity and relatively high cost, this type of strategy should be implemented particular for planned houses. The strategy of resistance is aimed at preventing water from entering the house and allowing it to withstand a flood without damages to the house. Resistance strategies can be separated into dry floodproofing, where the protection is implemented directly on the house, comparable to a protective layer, or through flood barriers, which are implemented around the house to create a protected area where the house is located. For new houses, water-resistant walls can be constructed through the utilization of waterproof concrete. For retrofitting of old houses, outside walls can be coated with waterproof materials such as oil-based materials, water-resistant textiles, or other waterproofing compounds. During a flood, water commonly enters the house through low-lying building openings such as doors and windows at ground level. In order to stop water from entering the house, waterproof doors and windows can be installed. Furthermore, water can enter the building through sanitary utilities, such as basement toilets or sinks. This can happen when the capacities of the public sewer system to hold water is exceeded, leading to a backflow of water and subsequent flooding of the basement. Luckily, an overflow of sewage water can easily be prevented by installation of a backflow prevention valve added to your house plumbing system. If there is a flood, water will always find the weakest link into the house. Further potential intrusion routes into the house include vents and shafts, as well as pipes and pipe conduits feeding through walls from the outside into the house, such as for electricity, gas, telephone, or drinking water. It is recommended to identify these links and floodproof them using appropriate water-resistant material or ceilings. For all resistant measures, house owners should consider the lead time ahead of a potential flood. For long lead time, such as for large river floods, mobile measures can be utilized, such as flood shields, which will manually be attached in front of the building opening ahead of the flood. If floods occur rapidly, immobile or permanently fixed measures, as described earlier, are recommended. Contrary to dry floodproofing, the implementation of flood barriers around the house does not require retrofitting of the house itself. Typical measures include flood walls, which can be in form of stationary installations such as concrete or brick-like walls, or mobile installations by using metallic materials such as aluminum, which are installed only before a flood. The choice for a particular installation should be based on the available lead time ahead of an expected flood. Furthermore, flood barriers could include berms or small levees, which work by preventing water from reaching the house. They can be built surrounding the house, connect higher topographic features, or built directly against the building wall. Alternatively, they can also be built to protect building openings. Commonly, berms and levees are made from earth materials. The flood protection strategy resist can commonly be applied not only for retrofitting of old houses, but also be implemented for new houses. The strategy adapt is used when the flood hazard can neither be avoided nor resisted. Unlike resistant systems which attempt to work against the water by keeping it out of the house, adapted systems attempt to live with the flood water. The adaptation strategy can be differentiated into passive and active measures. Passive measures do not require human intervention and are recommended whenever possible. Active or emergency measures require human intervention and are effective only if enough lead time is available to mobilize the labor and equipment necessary to implement them and to safely evacuate. According to the strategy, the house is adapted in such a way that the intrusion of water into the house will only cause minimal damages, with restoration efforts and costs kept low. Generally, this can be achieved through wet floodproofing, such as the utilization of water-resistant or adapted materials. Furthermore, dry floodproofing should include the protection of appliances, utilities, and any other equipment in case of flooding. For example, oil tanks should be properly sealed off and protected against float up. Another easy way of flood preparation is the adapted utilization of rooms. Rooms should be assembled to keep flood damages at minimum. Objects that are difficult to move, including furnaces, water heaters, or heavy appliances, such as washing machines or freezers, bookcases, etc., should either be put on platforms or relocated to higher floors. If the prerequisite of sufficient lead time before a flood is given, active measures could apply to lightweight portable furniture or other appliances and utilities, which can easily and quickly be moved before a flood. This strategy is particularly useful for old houses where the resistance strategy is either too expensive or could even lead to structural failures of the walls or foundations. We hope this introduction helped you to get a better idea on how to protect your home from flooding. Thank you for watching.